Charges were filed by the office that polices attorney misconduct in Washington. Martin was briefly the interim U.S. attorney for Washington, D.C., and had been nominated by President Trump to fill the role full-time. That nomination was pulled when it became clear he would not be confirmed. We're joined now by CBS News Justice correspondent Scott MacFarlane. Scott, so break down for our viewers what's going on with these ethics charges and what's the DOJ saying?
Vlad, Ed Martin is not a household name, but he's really working on it by amassing controversy after controversy from a relatively obscure position inside the U.S. Department of Justice. He is responsible for less than 1% of the work in that agency, but he is responsible for a growing percentage of the headlines. According to ethics investigators in Washington, D.C., in the District of Columbia itself, Ed Martin sent a letter to Georgetown University last month in which he threatened to strip the university of its internships or other placements inside the Department of Justice for its students or for its associates because he said he'd learned Georgetown was teaching DEI. Didn't really specify what that means or what constitutes teaching DEI, but he listed that as the reason. The ethics investigation found issues with him using his power and his position and the Department of Justice's might itself to try to go after a private university without due process. The Department of Justice has responded to this action by the ethics board in D.C., arguing that that ethics board and the D.C. bar agency responsible for it is politicized and that it's showing itself to be political. And they say they're trying to target and punish those serving President Trump. They also make an argument that a similar scrutiny should have been placed to those who worked under Presidents Biden and Obama. This is not a criminal case. This is not a criminal matter, but it does raise the profile further of Ed Martin, who, among other things, is helping President Trump issue all those pardons.
And Scott, you know, in the intro, Vlad was mentioning that his appointment had been pulled back when the President Trump didn't think that he would actually be able to be confirmed. Why had that been scrutinized? Like, sort of give us more of the picture of who Ed Martin is.
You can count on one hand the number of Trump nominees to high-profile posts who were blocked by the Republican-led Senate. Ed Martin is the one you can count on that one hand. He was going to be the top prosecutor in the District of Columbia, arguably one of the largest and highest-profile prosecutor positions in America. He was stopped after concerns from North Carolina Republican Thom Tillis, who told me at the time he had concerns about the denialism or the minimization of the U.S. Capitol insurrection that Ed Martin served as a defense attorney in some of those cases. So Ed Martin was blocked there. He was rerouted to the Department of Justice's headquarters and has now been posted at the pardon office to be the pardon attorney. But it's worth emphasizing, Kelly and Vlad, the pardon attorney's office is not functioning the way it normally does. There's usually a system of civil servants who go through, look at applications, make sure metrics are reached for somebody to get an issue of clemency. Under the president in this second term, it is just a haphazard, non-systemic system of issuing pardons, a lot of them to Trump loyalists and celebrities.
So then what? So, I mean, so there is no standard operating procedure in this second Trump administration. So what's to come?
For Ed Martin, he still has a job in the administration, but I asked a senior Department of Justice official last week what Ed Martin's future was, and that department official begged off the question and said that Ed Martin currently is working inside the Department of Justice in important roles. It's less than clear, but it is quite something that somebody who's as obscure as Ed Martin was in 2025, is so very much commanding the attention externally inside the Department of Justice and outside the Department of Justice. That seems like a not tenable situation for the long haul.
All right. Scott MacFarlane is